So you got 3 kids now, right? Is that what I read? Yeah. Okay.
3 grown men.
All boys, huh?
Yeah. Jake's 26. Ben is 22. And Sam's 18, and it's
adult men.
they all kind of find their thing, like you're saying, like whatever they, Jake was a really good athlete before he started having seizures when he was 7, and then it took a while to get his seizures under control. And during that time, it's tough. The hand-eye coordination kind of goes with the medication that he's on to stop his seizures, and that's where we got on this whole roller coaster of being caregivers for him, and
right.
and he's doing well. I mean, epilepsy, most of people that have epilepsy, you don't know they have a seizure condition. You just don't see it until you see them have a seizure. So that's why I started talkaboutit.org to encourage people to talk about this, because if you and I are in an office together or band together or on a show together, whatever, and if I'm like, Johnny, just so you know, if I start doing this and I'm starting having a seizure, just don't let me fall, because if I hit my head, that's what damages. And if I have a seizure, just put me on my side and the seizure, put something under my head to make it soft so I don't hit my head, and I'll be okay. And if you know that, oh my God, it takes the fear and the stigma and the scariness out of it. So that's what we're doing with the website and the
podcast.
What's that?
And the podcast, the Talk About It podcast. I wanted to get into that because I did listen to a few episodes.
Oh, and, awesome!
I have a personal story to share with you as well on this, not directly from me, but my wife's friend, one of her closest friends from high school, maybe even middle school now I think about it, lives right around the corner from us by happenstance. We ended up in the same neighborhood as adults together, have kids together. Their firstborn, Savannah, has a rare disease that causes epilepsy. So I had her send it to me because I didn't want to mess it up, because I always say it wrong.
Is it called Dravet syndrome?
No, it starts with a P. I have it right here somewhere because I asked her earlier. It's I think Pachygyria, and it's super rare, and it causes infantile spasms as a seizure type. And I bring all this up because basically the disease causes she has smooth parts on her brain where they're supposed to be bumpy, and then that causes this. Yeah, and it's a super rare disease. She's always going to need her parents or a caregiver of some kind. The cool thing that they're just now one of those things you could celebrate, little battles you can celebrate as you talk about on the podcast is. With technology right now, that they're finding that she might be able to communicate using her eyes on a digital screen at some point.
Oh,
which
wow!
Would be huge, because right now she's about a year younger than my son. My son's 5.5, so I think she's about 4.5. And she can't communicate really. She can't walk, she can't crawl, she can't do. I mean,
really?
It's pretty severe because of the condition causing the epilepsy too. She cannot develop properly because it's at such a young age too.
Yeah, so you're hitting it right on the head. Like I get, and no pun intended, I get calls all the time from people that say, I'm the red phone, because people know my son has epilepsy. I'm the national spokesperson when I have time, and I started to talk about it and all that. And so I tell people it's going to be okay. I don't know what version of okay it's going to be for you, but you're going to get through this, because it's really, really dark. I mean, as a parent, all you want to do is you want your kids to be okay. And when they're not okay,
that matters, right?
Yeah. And when they're not okay, you want a doctor to tell you, okay, here's the issue. Here's what we're going to do. Epilepsy is not like that. It's like, we don't know why. I mean, some cases it's okay. You played football, you hit your head, you got in a car accident, whatever, or you have cancer, God forbid, or a tumor. Jake was, my son, perfectly normal. And the first 7 years are when your brain develops. After 7 years, you have a better chance of having someone have a normal, quote unquote, normal quality of life.
Right.
So those first few years are really important. And infantile spasms are scary. You're holding your infant and they're shaking and they're having a little bit of a seizure. Sometimes they'll have a tonic-clonic seizure, like what we used to call a grand mal seizure, and it'll keep going. But it's terrifying in the short term, and it's terrifying in the long term, because your brain is trying to develop. And the good news for Savannah is she's young, and it is so, where the brain is incredibly resilient. And there are ways like you're talking about using the eyes to speak, but trust me, there might be, and it probably will be, since she's so young, so many advancements happening very quickly. And we
that's
try
what
and
they're hoping for. Absolutely. I mean,
we try,
like you said, any
them.
little victory is a huge one. You know, like they struggle. They have another boy now who's coming up on a year now old. So and he seems to be completely healthy. Doesn't have the same pachygyria or whatever, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's super rare. That's why I wanted to talk to you about the podcast, because you did the one with Cody Brundage, the MMA fighter, and he described a super rare one as well that had epilepsy as a part of his daughter's. The
path. The good news right now is that rare diseases are getting a lot of attention. They're getting a lot of money, and the research is really moving very quickly with rare diseases. Not as much as it should, especially when there's not as many people affected by these things, but there are similarities. There are, the technology is bringing the whole neurological world, research world, neuroscientist world together much quicker than it used to back in the day. So one development over here is going to help her condition. And you hear about things, Jake's on like 5 meds and he's doing really well. But I don't like the fact, and he doesn't like the fact that he has to take all these meds.
Right.
But like he's got,
and finding that right, I'm sorry to cut you off, but finding that right combination of those meds too, I'm sure took a long time as well. I know that it does, and struggle.
And getting it a lot of times your brain will find a way around it. So you'll take one medication. 75% of the people respond to one medication. That's all they have to take, and then they're fine. Or, they have to stay on top of it. Your body changes, your diet changes, your weight changes. You have to like adjust the medication. Jake is one of those. It's called difficult to treat epilepsy. So we have a combination of meds and therapies and stuff. And he's doing great. I mean, he's a 2nd degree Taekwondo. He teaches Taekwondo. He's got a great job. He doesn't drive because he just doesn't want to. God forbid he gets in an accident. But he's amazing. I mean, he's played me a couple of times in movies, a young version of me. He's
oh wow. What roles? I want to check those out now. If I have it, I might have seen them and missed that part of it. But yeah,
no. Well, Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. There's a flashback to when I was just coming up and I created like an Atari type game motor and the business got to my head. I bought a DeLorean. I had girls around me. So he's playing that role.
That's rad. That's gotta be cool. That's gotta be cool as a father, though, to see that and be a part of that. That's the dream right there, man.
Yeah,
that's.
It cool, it was awesome. And then one of the most incredible things was 911 Lone Star is a show, and I just played a role. And I played a role. It was based on a true story. A guy whose son had seizures so bad he fell into a seizure, didn't come out of it, and they were like, look, we have to wean him off. He's in the ER. Or in the ICU, and they said, we got to wean him off. It's called a terminal wean. We're going to start taking these machines off because nothing else we can do. And the guy pulled a gun out and held everybody hostage in the ICU and said, I know my son. He's coming out of this. He's done this before. When he was 3, he almost drowned in the pool. We thought we lost him. He came. My son is a miracle. And he's like, so I play that guy. It was very emotional. But the most emotional part was they were so great on that show. The producer says to me, I didn't want to ask, but do you think maybe your son would want to play your son in the bed? And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, I mean, we've got a guy we hired, but I don't mind paying that guy and having your son. So Jake actually was in the bed when I'm sitting there, crying, telling him, please survive. I love you so much. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh my God. That's seriously, I haven't even seen it. Just you describing it right now, it's getting me a little choked up. Like that's gotta be, I mean, I can only imagine what you were doing. I mean, it was pulling from everything. Man, that's incredible.
It was crazy and great at the same time. The co-stars, the stars of the show, I was a guest star. They couldn't have been better. The director, she was incredible. But it was people were like, how did you even get through it? And I was like, it was easier because I didn't have to draw from anything. Here's my son. who's supposed to have suffered from a seizure. He had the thing on and the breathing thing down his, I mean, Jake did a great job. And then he wakes up. He actually at the end of the episode, he comes out of it. I was right. And my character was right. And so it was just, it was so beautiful.
The true story that was based on, do you know if that was how it ended in the true story?
Yeah, it actually ended. And then the father son have a business together. They're running a business together. The dad had to do time. He did like 2 weeks in jail for what he did because you can't pull a gun.
Well, yeah, but you do that on your head if it meant you saved your son. Fucking A.
Exactly.
do it all over again, officer. Let's do it again.
Right, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's emotional. I mean, for you too, to like be able to pull from that and have your son in the scene and everything. Wow, that's incredible.
And then also coming full circle, I'm doing this show now called the Caregiver Series. People can go to thecaregiverseries.com and takes you right to YouTube, and you can watch these episodes. And there's 7-minute episodes where I'm shining a light on caregivers. It's really important. Like, when you're on a plane and they say, put a mask on yourself before you put a mask on your child. Right. You really need, that metaphor is important. Like, as a caregiver, you got to take care of yourself. I gain weight. I'm up in weight right now. I'm trying to lose weight. It's like, we've got to be healthy for our kids, for our family, to take care of others. You got to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that show, a lot of people put off, as caregivers, they put off the things that they enjoy, that keep them centered, keep them normal, whether it even is just going out to dinner with your husband, wife, spouse, whatever. You need to have normalcy in your life, and you need to know that everything's going to be okay. And you need to be able to take an attaboy. Somebody needs to pat you on the back and go, attaboy, great job. You're doing a great job. It's okay. As caregivers, last person we want in the world to praise is ourselves. Like, when someone says to my wife and myself, how do you guys do it? You're incredible. You're the best parents in the world. It's like, what? I know they mean well, but I hate hearing that. I'm not. What am I supposed to do? Like, this is my son.
Yeah,
take care of my son.
I mean, I don't have that same. I can't sympathize with that. I can only empathize, right? And it's like, but I can understand it, because when you first have a kid, I've only got the one, and he's pretty young still. But you're not prepared for that in any facet, even if they're completely healthy. You just do, like, everything just becomes, I don't know, I just do it because I have to. Like,
that's absolutely right.
I mean, and that's why I'm saying I can understand where you're coming from on that, but I can't understand how that is. And to your point, taking those attaboys, I mean, I'm sure it's difficult, but I mean, to your point, you got to be able to do that, right?
Yeah. And also have a day to just take a breath. Like, there was this woman, Leslie, she loved art. She gave up painting. So I took her to a gallery and we painted, to this art studio. And we did what's called art therapy. I'd never done it before. And it was just paint what you're feeling today, whatever. We didn't go deep, but it was like we were painting and talking about our kids and how much we love them. And I'm learning from her. She's learning from me. It was a great episode. Gloria in Houston. Oh my gosh. Like, the most beautiful family, and we're talking, and I took her, she's like, I love horticulture, I love gardens and stuff. I took her to this beautiful garden. She loves the British monarchy. What a day. We're recording
we're recording this on the day that Queen Elizabeth just passed.
Yeah,
I just got that news before we were starting this whole thing up.
Yeah, Gloria loves the idea of high tea and like that whole tradition. Mm-hmm. So in the middle of this beautiful park, on this little island in the middle of this water, I had the tea set up, and the two of us had tea and all the little tea cakes and the sandwiches, and literally had the greatest conversation. Then I took her back and I made dinner for her family. And John, I took her to this really cool car place that's actually between me and you, off the 405. And we just went into this Mecca man cave and talked about cars and our kids. And it's just such a great show. I can't even tell you. I'm partnered with Jazz Pharmaceuticals. They're making it happen. And without their help, there's no way this would happen. And episodes are coming out all the time. And it's, I'm so proud of it. I can't even begin to tell you. And my Bronco is featured. My Ford Bronco is featured. In there.
Nice. I'm glad. I mean, it's so cool that you're using your talent and your platform to help others who are going through this. That was the thing that I took away from your even the Talk About It podcast, and now that I hear about this caregiver thing, I'm definitely going to check it out and tell a couple of my friends who need to check it out to do so. And
I just sent you the link.
Awesome, perfect, thank you. It'll also be down here in the description for everybody. We're going to make sure we put that out there because I'm not just blowing smoke, man. Like I do really appreciate what you're doing. Because even for me, with a friend that's going through it, when I was listening, I sent them that episode specifically with Cody. And I was just like, as a layman, for me, not living it or anything like that, it was very informative, one. And two, it gave a lot of hope. You know what I mean? Like you guys you're sharing your personal stories of what you're going through as the caregivers, or even a couple of the other guests you've had who have epilepsy and are living their lives with it. But you're continually reassuring that hope. And I think that is such a cool thing you guys are doing.
And you just hit on something. The most important thing is removing that isolation. You're not alone. I know this is a rare condition that you're telling me your friend has, your friend's daughter has, but there are other people going through very similar things. Don't be afraid. When we started going through this, we were told, get into a therapy group, and all you want to do is find a mirror. Like I want to talk to somebody who's going through exactly what I'm going through. Right. Guess what? That ain't not going to happen.
I don't think that happens with anything in life, by the way, because everyone has their own perception. We have our own lens, people. Your perception and your thoughts are as unique as your thumbprint. Let's put it that way.